Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
I call the Honourable Member Richard Prosser.
Pleased to take a call on this committee stage of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Amendment Act. Mr. Chair, I think it's a great shame that the National Party, as the Minister has indicated, are not going to support the Honourable Damien O'Connor's supplementary order paper placing a 23% cap on the size of the shareholder fund, because I think if the National Party, if the government were to do that, it would be very much a sign of good faith insofar as this process has been concerned. New Zealand First does remain opposed to the passage of the bill for a number of other reasons, but we are prepared to support the supplementary order paper as it stands, because we believe that if a cap is placed in legislation on the size of the shareholder fund relative to the totality of Fonterra, that will make the bill a less bad thing than it currently is. It is contentious, the fact that the Parliament is debating this bill at all. It is a bill which regulates essentially a private industry, but at the same time it's a private industry that has come to Parliament, to government in the past, to ask for itself to be regulated and to be allowed to operate outside of other regulations. Obviously Fonterra was created as a creature of statute to be allowed to be a virtual monopoly, because it was recognised by Parliament in the day that as a virtual monopoly its size and its strength would be of great benefit to New Zealand Inc. as a whole. And history has shown that that is very much the case. However, over the last 10 years, things have changed a little, and there is a desire amongst some to evolve the path, I believe, of Fonterra. It is Fonterra's own desire and the desire of Fonterra shareholders to evolve and to continue growing their business. And to do this, they tell us they require greater capital. There is also the spectre of redemption risk, which faces any co-op. And for these reasons, this amendment bill has come before the Parliament. We in New Zealand First, we believe that redemption risk has been somewhat overstated. We do not believe it is the great demon that it has been made out to be, and we believe that if there is a real redemption risk, this can be dealt with in other ways other than the Trading Among Farmers scheme. And Trading Among Farmers, the TAF scheme, is probably the most contentious part of this bill as it stands, but as Mr Ardern alluded to earlier, it's probably clouding the other major part of the bill, that being the milk price setting mechanism, which is just as important and has probably slipped into the shadow a little bit because of the contentious nature of TAF. I think it is a shame that the milk price setting regime, or the monitoring regime, is in place in the bill as it is, because, as the Commerce Commission found and as other investigations have found, the manner in which Fonterra sets its farmgate milk price is reasonably fair anyway, and is probably a fair reflection of what would be the case in a genuinely open market anyhow, so it probably doesn't need to be changed, and it certainly probably doesn't need to be mucked around with. However, there is a potential that if there is this supposed outside oversight of the way Fonterra sets its milk price, that milk price may be subject to influence from people who don't necessarily understand the industry, who don't necessarily understand or appreciate the real thrust behind a cooperative, which is essentially to maximise returns to its owner shareholders, who are its investors. We believe that the foundation, the primary philosophy behind the setting up of Fonterra as a major co-op, that being to maximise the farmgate milk price, is a good one, and that should be adhered to, because it maximises returns to New Zealand farmer shareholders without allowing a part of that profit stream, or a major part of that profit stream, to be generated from external sources such as dividends and so forth from share trading. And TAF, of course, is the instrument which will allow that to happen. Our concerns about TAF are primarily, as has been stated before in this debate, that TAF, as it is now proposed and as farmers voted on, whether we argue the numbers back and forth, and that's probably a pointless argument, farmers did vote in favour of instigating the TAF. We don't believe that they understood it fully. We don't believe they'd been given all the information. Certainly the Select Committee, I don't believe, had time to assimilate all the information, nor to assimilate all the submissions, and we believe that there is still a great deal of contention around that. However, it is certainly not the scheme that was originally offered to them, and the scheme that was guaranteed to provide 100% farmer ownership and control, and we do not believe that TAF, as it is proposed, can do that. If TAF was simply trading among farmers and did not require outside investors, then that would be a great thing. But because of the numbers that are required in order to make the shareholder fund work, it appears that TAF cannot work unless it has outside investors, which, to our way of thinking, suggests it is probably not the right model for Fonterra. There are other ways in which Fonterra can raise capital if it needs capital. They essentially all come down to retention in one form or another. We have had it suggested to us that 30 cents a kilo retained over 3 years would raise $1 billion for Fonterra, which, Mr Chair. Mr Chair.
I call the Honourable Member, the Honourable Minister, David Carter.
Mr Chair, the member who has just spoken suggests that we should accept the amendment proposed by the